Here's how you can ask for letters of recommendation from your peers, supervisors, or mentors for your business school journey. If you're new here, my name is Abhinav, and I got into both Harvard and Stanford business schools, and I'm currently a student at Stanford's business school. Asking for letters of recommendation is always a challenging task. You suddenly have to recall the past few years of your professional life and put it on one piece of paper in 2 or 3 questions that the schools ask you and make it very convincing. You have to have examples, anecdotes, convincing stories of emotional and personal growth, and all of that needs to be delivered in a convincing, persuasive way to business schools. And doing that is a non-trivial task. So choosing your recommenders before even thinking of how to approach them is very important. Don't focus on how senior the person is, focus on how well they know you. And if they know you very well, if they've worked with you in different capacities, and if you know that they are going to attest to your abilities and potential, you know that they are the right person. So here's how to ask them. Number 1, have empathy. Writing a note for somebody else is difficult. Reflecting on what to write about is even more difficult. And so the best thing that you can do is to have empathy that doing this is a challenging task, and therefore you need to make it easier for them to do so. How do you make it easier for them to do so? And that is the second point: write. Write a request letter for recommendation. Write why specifically you think that they should be your recommenders, and also remind them of the things that you have done that they can include in your letters of recommendation. Now, beware that all business schools are very particular and specific about how you cannot have any hand or involvement in writing your LOR when you are reaching out to your recommenders. So you need to be very careful in reminding them and sharing with them anecdotes as your own reflections in that request letter, but be very careful so as to not be prescriptive or hint that this is what needs to be included when you are writing your request for letter of recommendation, because that is the ethical and the correct way to go about it. So here's how to ask for a letter of recommendation and how to write a request for a letter of recommendation from any of your recommenders. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you as to how I wrote it. Dear XYZ, thank you for agreeing to recommend me for my business school applications. The admissions committee will use your insights to evaluate my character, work-based performance, and potential. They will also look for your corroboration of the abilities I've claimed. In my application, I aim to showcase how I can contribute uniquely to both the academic and extracurricular aspects of the program. It would be impactful if your recommendation could include specific stories that highlight my qualifications and make me stand out. Focusing on business relevant skills while also noting areas for improvement will enhance the credibility of your endorsements. Below are some key points about my contributions and growth during our time working together, which might help you in writing your letter. And this is where you share about how you have worked, what you have worked on, and why and what its impact was. And when you remind the recommenders that this is exactly what you've done and what you've accomplished, you are in fact making their job easier, because you're empathizing about how difficult it truly is to write about another candidate and be very specific and precise in providing the examples. Note that most schools follow a standardized format asking 2 specific questions and require you to fill out a ratings table assessing various skills as well. Understanding my career objectives and the reasons behind my pursuit of an MBA will also aid in aligning your recommendation with my application goals. And after you write this, you should also write about your short-term and long-term goals after pursuing an MBA, which will give them, your recommender, a larger context of why you want to do an MBA, so that when they write their letters of recommendation, they're able to weave that in very normally and fluidly in their recommendation. And so that is one strategy that I use to request for letters of recommendation from my recommenders. And the utility of this strategy is that it forces you to be very thoughtful and reflective about what you need to show from those letters of recommendation, and that is what will eventually make the difference. So be very thoughtful, be very clear, be very specific and precise in sharing the stories that you think have had a tremendous impact, and write this request letter so that you yourself make your story and thoughts clear and help your recommenders write the best letter of recommendation for you. I'm going to be linking this draft below in the YouTube description. Feel free to use it and share it with somebody who's on this journey as well.